If you need life to work for you in order for you to stay clean and sober, you're probably not going to stay clean and sober.
So what you're saying is no matter what happens,
no matter what happens, your addiction will get you using. So your recovery's got to be, no matter what happens, I'm willing to do anything to stay clean and sober today. Do you see? How do you need, if it doesn't balance, it doesn't balance. I can't work this out for you in detail. I can only give you my examples of how I achieved that balance. My ultimate balance was my son. I would go and see my son and I would relapse and get clean. A couple of weeks later, I'd go and see him again and I would relapse and then I'd get clean. A couple of weeks later, I'd go and see him again, relapse, and then I would get clean. And my sponsor finally said, "You've got to stop seeing him then." Okay? So I had the ultimate, really. Okay, and the deal was, if that's the case, then that's the case, I will stop seeing him. If that's what I have to do. Now, I didn't stop seeing him, I said, that's the deal then. I am willing to sacrifice that for my recovery, for my life. Yeah? So, I still went to see him, but if I relapse, that's it, I'm not seeing him again. Simple as. And I made that deal. I made my recovery as powerful as my addiction. Because my addiction wouldn't think twice. The reason I wasn't seeing him in the first place was because of my addiction. And so I made that deal. And that was fine. I didn't relapse once I'd made that deal. Once my life, my recovery was more important than me seeing my son and him seeing me, I was safe. And actually I did see him for a year. And then ultimately, at the end of that year, it was going so well, his mum decided, what's going on here? This drunk, this addict, is doing well. I don't get this. The only reason I let him see him was because I knew he'd fuck up, and he hasn't. So then she came out with, oh well, went back to the court saying, you can't see him anymore because he's been sexually abusing him, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And then I've never seen my son since. But the point is this. My recovery was not dependent on my seeing my son. So when my son was removed, my addiction couldn't make me use. Do you see what I'm saying? If my recovery was, well, so long as I'm seeing my son, the minute that got removed, my addiction will go, thank you very much, we're in. Yeah? And that's how big it is, I mean, if you think about it, to have come to a place like this and suspend all of your life for months, that must be something pretty powerful that's got you to this place. Do you know what I'm saying? And just on that alone, that's got to cry out to you about how serious addiction is, how powerful it is. And if you look at other people's examples, people will die before they'll give up smoking. And that's not even a mood-altering substance. Do you see what I'm saying? Most people who die from addiction die from overeating. They will not give up overeating. They cannot. It is this powerful. People lose limbs. I mean, if you stick around, you'll see people in some right states in their heroin addiction, they've got, abscesses all over them.
John Darcy was like that, wasn't he?
Yeah. Look at state he was in. Absolute mess. But his addiction was more powerful. Yeah? Now, how powerful your addiction's got you is up to you, but the thing about addiction is one of the things that we've noticed about it over the last few decades is that once you've kind of crossed certain lines into it, it has a certain amount of inevitability. It's going to carry on and it's going to get worse. Once you've crossed certain lines, there's no going back with it. It's going to get worse. And we've noticed this. And I would seriously ask yourself, if you've ended up in a place like this, you've probably crossed them lines. Now, I never got put in prison. I've never burgled a house. You know, there's a lot of things I haven't done that maybe you have, whatever. But the point is, I know when I'm beat. And that's what's, me knowing I'm beat has saved my life. And just created a whole new world for me. Which is a very nice place to be for me. Yeah? Knowing I'm beat. I knew I was beat. When I kept seeing my little kid, and it tore me apart to have to leave. And therefore I realised, I knew I was beat.